ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Rutland Town Board of Selectmen informational meeting, at which time the proposed budget and the articles on the town warning for March will be presented to you, discussed, explained, and available for questions and answers. The procedure will be quite simple. In a moment, I'll turn it over to the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, and he will take over. Don't expect that there'll be much call for my participation afterwards. We have had, before the commencement of the school district information meeting, the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and a moment of silence for those in the Persian Gulf. We're working so violently there, and we won't repeat those ceremonies again. So at this time, it's my pleasure to present to you the chairman, Mr. Young.
Thank you, Norm. I presume you all know my colleagues. On the far end is John Sasinski. This big John and the little John is John Flory, and then Rod Gallipo and Roy Carpenter, and I'm Kip Young. I presume you all have a copy of this, the general budget. Does everybody have a copy of it? I'm not going to go over the line-by-line items. I've just hit the high spots in it, but if there's any questions, well, you feel free to speak up and we'll see if we can answer them. Listers, that's article number 03-51115, was budgeted $5,000. We spent $5,554.50. This year we're budgeting $7,000. They are needing another 200 hours to catch up on the bookwork and clerical updates to date on your town records. So they figured they needed that some extra time. So we put that in there, and that was the $7,000. There's nothing else on that page. Yes?
On the assistant town clerk, why is that lower?
Dick, I'll turn that over to Dick.
With the economic situation that exists, as you well know, I looked over my situation in running the office, and work has been down in the area where the assistant town clerk does most of her work, and that is in recording deeds, warranty deeds, mortgages, and so forth. And looking at that situation, and we're structured so that Jean has 40 hours. She's always been working 40 hours on salary, and Annette was on a part-time basis. She works 30 hours on an hourly. Now, that's not to say that some weeks she gets 20 hours, some weeks 40, so her hours fluctuate. But anyway, in looking over the situation and knowing that budgets are tight in every town, as you read the Rutland Herald, I saw a situation that existed here, so I'm suggesting and instructed the office that starting April 1st, we would reduce the amount of hours from 40 to 25 on Jean and from 30 to 25 on Annette. I still think we can operate functionally. This year, there's not going to be the fall and the general election, so we save time and so forth there. If if the need arises where I need it at tax time when people are lining up at the counter 10 deep, I'm sure we'll be putting some extra hours in. Then if this economy turns around toward the end of the year, but I don't see it happening, but if it does, I think, we can increase the hours. I beg your pardon?
We have a lot of delinquent taxpayers.
No, not as such. Our delinquency is up because
Well, that's what I mean, with a lot of people losing their jobs and so forth. I was wondering if
we may see it this year.
you didn't see it last September.
Not that much. The money was up because Ames, the two Ames stores are in chapter.
There's a lot of residents,
Yeah.
a lot of people were out of jobs,
Yeah.
and even back to us all, and I was wondering if they could
Yeah.
be put into a higher category and not getting taxes paid. So
We may see that this year.
I thought maybe last September, there's more than we had been.
Does that answer?
Yeah, so that one salary there anyway was for two people.
No, that's for Gene.
Oh, that was June's.
Yeah, and Annette is in office help down for the 03153.
H2.
Oh, I see, okay.
Page 2. In the Justice of the Peace, there was 1990, we budgeted $1,720. We spent $1,637.50. This year we're putting in for $680 because we feel it's only be one election.
Covered, you're saying your page, you're on the worksheet, page 2. We're on the final version, so.
Okay, I'm on the worksheet, page 2. Be under Justice of the Peace. Number 035151. Find it? It's on page 1. Justice of the Peace, 035151. We put in for $680 this year because we feel it's only going to be one election. So we could cut there. And Dick just told you about the office help. That was Annette, from 30 to 25. Number 035163, traffic enforcement. We budgeted $25,600. We spent $16,268.60. But why that is down somehow is because there was a couple of months that our roads wasn't. The state's attorney would not prosecute anybody because our roads wasn't legally done. So we had to take and go back for a month or so and bring our roads up to speed limit signs, 30 miles an hour, and then you have to wait a period, I think it's 45 days before it can be enforced. And so that's why that budget is down. This year we're budgeting $2,700. The general law enforcement was $26,100. We spent $22,775, and we're putting that in for $27,000 also this year. Any questions on them? Election supplies and lights and phones is pretty much standard. There's not much that we can do about those things. You'll notice on number 035203, a telephone. 035203. That has been reduced to $2,000. That was because why we had it in there for last year for so high, we had to change over some of our phone system and update it. Number 035206, office maintenance, or it comes under municipal office building. For upkeep, we had $7,500 in. We spent $7,516.22, and we're in for $10,000 this year. Why that is brought up is because we are asking UVM to find a new building because we are getting to the point where we need more office space. And so we have asked them to cancel their lease with us, which they have said that they would do. And this extra money is in there for updating our office supplies, whatever we need to bring our office up to date. The Recreation Commission needs a place, the Planning Commission needs a place, we need a place, our town assistant needs a place, so we need to utilize the whole building. But it will be available, the downstairs will still be available to those who request to use it. No, we need the space.
Yeah, but you say different commissions.
Yes, the paperwork is getting, our office now is, the filing cabinets are full, they've got the downstairs vault full, and it needs to have it up to where they can put their hands in, they got to paw around everything to find it. So we need the space now.
On page 1, I noticed 500 for microfilming, whereas there was nothing for this year. That's not a new item, that's just...
What was that now?
On page 1, I noticed 35,179, 500 for microfilming, whereas there was nothing for this year. That's not a new item, it's just that some's being done this year.
Yes.
It's been done in the past, but
Yes.
not last year.
Yes, right. This coming year, we'll be bringing them up to date again. Oh, 035241, equipment, new and repairs. 1990, we budgeted 2,600. We spent 1825.46, and this year we're putting in for 3,000. Because when we get to remodeling in the office in there, we're going to have filing cabinets and typewriters and things added to our office over there. Number 035261. Legal services. This is for the Planning Commission. This is over and above hours. They figured they needed $7,000. And down in 035267, consulting fees. We budgeted, in 1990, we budgeted 5,000. In 1990, we spend 600. We're putting it up to $10,000 this year. That is because we have hired a person to help the Planning Commission put together our town plan to the point that it can be accepted by the region. And we had to hire a person to do this because they didn't like the way we done it. So we had to hire somebody to do it. So to get it passed and to get it accepted, we had to hire somebody, a consultant. Everything else is pretty much standard. If there's any question in any of it, why, speak up and we'll see if we can answer them.
Okay, going back on the traffic enforcement, is that the sheriff's department, sir?
Yes.
All right, now we get revenue back afterwards?
Yes.
So in other words, they're adding more hours compared to the 16,000 for last year, or if they increased their...
Pardon that now?
In other words, last year you got $16,000, excuse me, $25,000 for 91, for 90 rather, and you spent 16.
Yeah.
Which you pay the sheriff's department. Now, are they increasing more hours, or?
No, we held their hours the same as what they had before. But their mileage came up, and there was holidays put in there. There was something else that was added and put in.
50 cents an hour.
Huh? Yeah, they got it.
He picked up on the fact that we couldn't hire him right off because you had to put the signs out there legally, so this was
Yeah.
all the months.
Well, he wanted to know why it
The
brought
16
the 20 to 27,000, and it was just a raise in mileage.
There was like 2 or 3 months that we weren't covered in here, that was really the
Yes.
reason.
We had an ordinance that was not enforceable, according to the state's attorney. So we had a grace period where we could not issue tickets or levy fines or whatever. So that's where the actual revenue figure is smaller for expenditures, where it should have been, actually, if they went as planned, would have equaled the budget projection.
That's the difference between the 27 and 25.
The 91 budget figure includes a normal increase we expect from them every year for cost of living, wear and tear on equipment, mileage, and whatever.
It's the same amount of time, but it's just added on the equipment and mileage.
Being like now, the general law enforcement, what does that encompass?
The general law enforcement encompasses going around, just driving around and letting them know that they're there, and they catch you doing something wrong, or they pick you up.
It's neighborhood patrols.
Neighborhood patrols.
But that's still all going to the sheriff's department, right? 54,000?
This particular.
That goes there, but any tickets they write comes back to the town.
They might issue radar tickets doing routine patrol.
So they get twice this?
Yes,
Yes, right.
there's a radar patrol. That's one group.
Okay, that's what I...
There's different job identifications.
There's a different
but
job.
They can overlap.
different-
General patrol and radar patrol.
Right.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's...
Yeah.
You have 6 days a week, 4 hours a day, radar patrol. 3 days a week, 8 hours a day, routine patrol.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else? If not, I'll turn it over to Rod, let him take the landfill. It's still on your general.
Thank you, Clifford. The landfill portion of the general budget does not stand alone as a budget in itself. It is a portion of the general fund budget, so you won't find an income side to this budget, even though we do receive revenues which exceed our expenses. The landfill starts with account number 035190, Vermont Department of Taxes. Last year, we budgeted $12,000. We spent $11,886.88. This year, we anticipate spending $15,000. The reason for the increase is a restructuring process under Act 78. We are assessed, or we have been assessed the last 2 years, a fee on a per capita basis to come up with a $12,000, which is paid into the state of Vermont in quarterly payments. They have restructured that now so that rather than paying on a per capita basis, we are paying on a cubic yard basis upon trash being deposited in the landfill. So putting together some rough figures and the best guesstimates we could come up with, we anticipate that would go up to $15,000. The landfill operator is Tony Flory. His salary increase represents a 3% increase, which I believe is pretty much across the board for all the employees that we deal with in the town, maybe with the exception of a couple. Like the selectmen didn't get a raise, and I don't think the ballot clerks got a raise. Everybody else got an across-the-board 3%. So that's reflected in this figure for Tony. Engineering, last year, we budgeted $5,000. We went over that, $6,408.48. and this year we anticipate spending $3,500. Routinely at the landfill, we have to have 2 extensive engineering reports done. Those were exceeded by the need to put in an additional monitoring well, which gave us an extra cost. And we've approached the engineer to come up with this $3,500 figure for this year, so we feel pretty safe we'll be able to stay within those bounds. Miscellaneous costs, we budgeted $1,200 last year. We spent $1,454.85. This year, we anticipate spending $1,500. Those are the windshield stickers, the punch cards, which it's hard to believe add up to that amount of money. They are quite expensive. Plus the coupon books for the commercial haulers and whatever. Cover material, we haven't budgeted any money or spent any money in 1990 for cover material, although we are getting increased pressure by the state of Vermont for some final cover material to be put on the landfill. So we put in a token figure of $1,000 to at least start that process. The general cleanup would be for blow down of trees, rubbish that might get blown around during a windstorm or whatever up there that might require an extensive activity of cleaning up. So we always want to keep some money in there for that. The waste metal removal, we didn't spend any money last year. We would like to keep the waste metal out of there. From all indications, unfortunately because there's a war going on, we feel waste metal might be worth some money this year. So we cut that figure down, and we're going to try to get the metal out of there. It makes for a better appearing landfill and a safer landfill for children should they be allowed to get in there for some reason. Construction material, we don't budget anything for that because we don't know if we're going to get any construction material, and this is also a two-sided item. If someone should tear a roof off a commercial building and bring it into the landfill, we charge them, for an example, $2 a yard to bring that roof in. We have to give half of that to Tony Flory, who goes up there on hours he's not normally designated to do to take care of burying that roof. So we in this case here, we apparently took in $660. We kept $330 for income, which we don't show here, and the $330 that is shown here went to Tony Flory. It's about the best way I could explain that. Landfill attendant, that's Will Shackett, who checks people in at the dump, counts the bags and whatever. His salary also reflects a 3% increase. And for recycling, we didn't budget anything last year. We didn't spend anything last year because we have a local solid waste company who is providing us a service free of charge. Now, we've had some problems with getting them there and keeping them there to provide this service. Things seem to be going pretty well right now. They had to go through a reorganization period, and I really would extend my thanks to the people of town for being patient with us while this was going on. I know a lot of people went up there and they found that there weren't people there to take the recyclable goods, and the containers weren't there, and when they were there, they couldn't hold anymore. That seems to have straightened itself out now, but just to be sure, we have budgeted $4,000 for a container of our own, which is only 60% of the actual cost. The state would pay 40% out of the solid waste fund towards the cost of that container. So, if things continue as they are up there with recycling, we're very satisfied, and hopefully we won't have to spend the money. But should we have to, we are committed to recycling at the town landfill. So any questions on landfill portion? Last one.
On the recycling, it seems that there's some things that they take in Center Rutland that they don't take at the dump. Is that true? Will that change?
That may change. Because they have not so-called been able to get their feet underneath themselves until within the last couple of months, it's been very difficult to get them to commit to what they will and will not take. We would hope that they would continue to take whatever Courcelle would take in Center Rutland. I know. That, I would assume they are. They aren't making a profit from the town.
But there's no charge. I mean, it's kind of the savings to the town and having them do that is there's less stuff to bury. We're not charging them for their opportunity
There's
to
no
make
money
money
changing
then.
hands either way.
We looked at the possibility of putting in a full-blown recycling center there, staffing it, maintaining it, and whatever, and we were looking at a substantial sum of money, at least just to start up. These individuals came in and said, we'll do it for nothing if you let us have the space. And, it did sound good, and it's working well now. But there was a time where there were some internal problems within the company where they could not get personnel there to.
Any figure on the number of yards that we're saving per year, Barry?
We don't have that right now. Well, I'm sure we could get it, we'd have to get that from them. Yeah, I know that there's a sizable, there's a sizable number of people using the recycling service that's available up there.
From personal standpoint, my number of trash bags that I take to the landfill since the recycling program has started is probably down from approximately 4 to 5 a week to 1 or 2 a week. And I believe that if you multiply that by a significant number of people, we're probably saving a considerable.
Okay, so that's household now.
That's household.
Yeah, what's going into the landfill? How much is household? How much is commercial? And is the commercial being divided out? In others.
There are in some cases, I can't guarantee everybody's recycling, but it's,
On most cases, commercials are recycling.
our biggest problem continues to be cardboard. I know most of our manufacturers who deal extensively with cardboard ship it out of state. There is a price for it. If you can bail it, you can get a return. For instance, Fenard's and Myers Mall that, we plan on having built in the town within the next year or two, has committed to the Act 250 Commission an extensive recycling project for that mall, so that we are not overburdened with unnecessary trash in the Rutland Town landfill. So the large commercial, industrial generators of trash in the town are very sensitive to recycling. And although there still is some work to be done, we can see a big improvement. Bill, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I think kind of answered the question. I think the first question was what type of relationship do you have between residential trash and commercial trash? But obviously the commercial people are doing their part in trying to reduce their...
If Vicon reopens and there's a need for burnable trash, we might see a decline in recycling. We wouldn't see that directly because that trash may be going to Vicon, even though we are not a member town of the district. When Vicon was operating a couple of years ago, we noticed a noticeable decline because of their need to have burnable waste. So we don't know what's going to happen if Vicon reopens. We could be dealing with strictly residential people on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Any other questions on the landfill? Thank you.
Roy, I think, has the highway budget.
I'm not going to go through the budget line by line, but I'll hit the high spots. However, you're encouraged to ask any questions about any item, whether I choose to discuss that item or not. Beginning at the top of the sheet, as you can see, labor was up this year. Salt use was also up this past year. And those items are extremely difficult to budget for because they're directly dependent upon the weather, which we have no control over. Last year, there was quite a bit more cold and slippery weather compared to previous years, resulted in higher use of salt and more labor. The equipment of 045013 is the cost of maintaining your town roads in the wintertime, plowing, salting, sanding, and the like. The increase from this year's expenditure is up less than $4,000 and is down from last year. Again, I caution you that those items are not entirely predictable. Moving down to general maintenance, the equipment area budgeted $27,500. We spent $44,000. We're looking for a return back to more normal levels of $31,500 in this coming year. Moving on down to your labor cost, we had budgeted almost $39,000. However, we were able to hold that to just under $26,000. We do think that that might have been a little low and may move up to the mid-30 range. 34,880 is what we've budgeted for this year. Dick can help me with this. The budget is broken down into three areas in terms of winter maintenance period. I believe is 3 months long, 4 months, 4 months. And construction is 2 months, 1 month. Let me see, 4 and 1 is 5. That leaves 7 months for the general maintenance area. So you can see that some of those figures are the same, are the same categories in each area, and that's how they're broken down for these purposes here. Your labor and equipment costs are much smaller in the construction period, which is usually in the late summertime, I believe, when they get to taking on projects such as Grove Street and the Quarter Line Road, which was extensively worked on this past year. Retreatment, 045, 041, runs about $125,000 a year, and I think most of the citizens in the town would agree that our roads are in pretty good shape. Part of it is due to maintaining them, of which retreatment is a sizable part of the budget. If we chose to cut that back, I think we'd find the deterioration of our roads would occur in a more rapid fashion. There are only minor increases in the rest of the items in the budget, but getting down to the total budget, highway budget, and the balance at the beginning of the year, I will do my best to explain this, and Mr. Del Bianco will be happy to bail me out if I run into a problem. In the year 1990, there was a figure of, let's see, $28,451, which you see balance at the beginning of the year, which was supposed to be in that budget, Richard, in 1990's budget, and did not show up.
Correct.
Okay, that caused us, because it was not entered into the amount to be raised by taxes in 1990, which should have read $337,451. That deficit was carried forward to the actual expenditure column of 1990. We did raise $105,000 by means of income, and that was, if I'm not mistaken, the Grove Street and Quarter Line projects? Money that we received from the state. To be raised by taxes then was a figure of $309,000. We actually, all of those figures together resulted in a budget of $385,627 and a deficit of $45,131, which had to be carried into the proposed budget for 1991. As you will see, the deficit figure is carried over. We don't expect the income to be as great this year. The projects that we had slated that were major projects have by and large been completed. There will be some ongoing work, and that represents a state aid figure. And we will need to balance this all out by raising $385,000 by means of taxes. That, as you will see, will net out at $426,000, the total to be brought in versus the total highway budget, and if all goes well, we will not run a deficit this year. However, as I cautioned before, depending on what the weather is the remaining part of this winter, it could change those numbers and we could wind up with a deficit, or hopefully we could wind up with less cost, favorable weather, and maybe run a little surplus next year. I'd like to see that. Sharon?
Yeah, just that question of the 28,000. You said, if I heard you right, it was supposed to have been entered, but I guess I don't understand.
He's right there, and they'll be happy to answer that question for you.
He said he would take full responsibility, so.
I can remember recreation like that.
Well, to start off with, your taxes went down 10 cents, right? You were happy with that. That's a good. But the three, yes, 3 cents of that 10 was my mistake, so it should have got down actually 7. What happened was in doing all the paperwork, I failed to bring the 28,000 from the 89 deficit was 28,400. So I didn't discover that until halfway through the year, and I noticed Marshall's budget. I said, what the heck's going on here? He doesn't have any money. And then it dawned on me, I didn't take care of that deficit. So anyway, by law, you have to raise taxes to offset a deficit. So in 89, he had a 28,451 deficit, and this year, approximately 17,000. So I lumped the two together and have to make it up. These guys have been grooming me for this for 2 weeks, but that's is that clear now?
Very well.
Okay.
Bill?
What's the, on the general maintenance category, the equipment charge, you budgeted 27.5, this is 045021.
Yes, okay, let me go to 045021. I have the expenses for this year totaling 44,000. Marshall Fisher, Road Commissioner, was $13,958. Ronald McCurrier, $11,916. Byron
That's what you're
Yeah.
paying for high equipment.
Right. And the figures get lesser from there. Byron Hathaway, $7,268 on down, for a total of 44,000. We are truly hoping to hold the line a little better this year on that. Yes.
Up there on labor, salt and labor, did everyone ever think about trying to mix the two, the sand and the salt?
They are mixed.
Oh, they are mixed.
They are mixed.
Labor is what it costs us to have people run the trucks and the plows.
What you're seeing is, it looks like salt, but it's not. It's lime. He's picking up, down East Wallingford, I think. He's picking up down there, and it looks salt white.
Okay.
But the salt is mixed with it. That's what
The
makes
salt is more expensive than the lime, as I recall,
Fragmented
considerably
rock, I
more.
think, From Whitcomb Construction, it's fragmented rock is what it
Yeah.
is, rather than road sand.
Yeah. Is that it? Great.
Little John? Fire Department.
Shouldn't be hard to find. Dick used red paper on that one, you notice. Again, I won't go item for item. Most of it's self-explanatory. I'll go a paragraph at a time. The first one is for printing, postage, and supplies. Any questions on that? Not much change there. The next one is gas and oil. Patches Petroleum. I'm not sure, Jack. Patches Petroleum, was that for the gasoline or is that for the fuel?
So the gasoline from the Dart Mart.
They're in the Dart Mart down there, right. Okay. And Sherman Allen was gas for the Center Rutland. This year we'll be getting it all at the fuel stop there in Center Rutland, which will be through Procter Cole. Any questions on that one? There hasn't been much change there. Utilities, we all know what those are. The telephone bill might look high, but that's the 2 red phones, 2 black phones. That's the network for the answering service, and the horn relays and what have you. Sewer and waters for the Center Rutland Station. We pay that to the Center Rutland Fire District. Questions on that? And fuel oil. Hugh Duffy was the low bidder again this year, so we'll have them again in 91. We've cut that back to 4,500. We spent 5,036.88. We've done some furnace work on the furnace in Center Rutland. That seemed to have been using more oil, and we also intend to insulate up over the meeting room that doesn't have any insulation. Next one, the answering service. They went up just a little bit this year. It was $840, went up to $900, and that's a real bargain. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I don't think anyone has any problems with that. The insurance is the State Firefighters Association policy. That hasn't changed much. The new equipment, Motorola was new radio for truck, pager systems, what have you. We budgeted $2,500 last year, $3,000 this year. And I think Jack's going to buy the last of the new pagers this year, right, Jack? Others is in case we need something other than the Motorola or Mike, Bruce, or Phil Noyes for equipment. Budget $2,000 for that. The others are about the same. Salaries, the boys hadn't had a raise in 2 years. So we raised it from $19,000 to $20,000. And that's divided up basically among the approximately 40 men, so it's just a small amount and well-deserving. The maintenance equipment, trucks, all fire gear and what have you. Budgeted $9,000 last year. We budgeted $9,000 again this year. Building maintenance, there has to be a little bit of roof work done on McKinley Station. Little general furnace work, painting, plumbing, what have you. Budgeted $4,000 there again. Training, that's department and state-sponsored courses. The instructors have to be paid for that. Contingency, why no one wants to be without it. The uniforms, last year, the men paid $50 in the department, and the town, the department, bought the balance of picked up the balance, and we put $200 in there this year because there's a couple of men that may need them, new men, what have you. Physical's the same thing. Everyone took a physical last year. We put $100 in there in case new members come in, and they'll be needing one. Last year, $63,805.18 was spent. This year, we budgeted $69,350. That's an increase of 2.6%, which is pretty reasonable as far as I'm concerned. Any questions on that?
On Monday, it doesn't show, you put in $100 for the physical. Mine says zero.
Well, my worksheet says $100. What does yours say?
Zero.
Huh?
Dickie left it out.
Our clerk messed up again.
So we're gonna have the 100 in there, Dick, or zero? The worksheet has the $100.
That'll be one of those bracketed figures next year.
You have to worry about carrying one.
We'll get them to explain that with highway next year.
No. Bottom line is correct.
Well, anyway, we have money in contingency, so if there's a problem, I guess we can probably take care of it that way. I told you that no budget should be without one. But anyway, I did have $100 on our worksheet, and for some reason, it got eliminated. But somewhere we can rectify for it, I think. Can't we, Jack? If you need to take a couple physicals, sure. Well, yeah, we could still change it, that's right. So you want that 100 in there, right, Jack, for physicals? Yeah, okay.
Up to last year, the state is now requiring
Yeah.
an interior firefighter and a physical. Determined that he hasn't got any heart problems.
Any questions on that? Yes.
New equipment, 12,000 last year, 14,000 this year. Is that every year expenditure?
What number is that on? What number? I'm going by my worksheet here. I got
Numbers
82 to 85. Okay. Yeah,
What is the equipment?
actually, okay, Motorola, that's usually your radios for your trucks, your pagers and what have you. Jack, we had, the pagers we've had them for several years. And over the last, yeah, why don't you explain that, Jack? The fire chief is right here, Jack Drinwater.
We had the PageCom 2, which we got back in 1972. Some of those now, just to take them in and set them on the desk to have the people look at them, cost you $50 before they even touch them. A brand new pager costs approximately $350, and then another $50 for the charger. So if you take one of the old pagers and run it in 2 or 3 times in 5 years, you're wasting your money. So what we're trying to do, or what we have been doing, we've been changing so many pagers each year. Hopefully this year, we'll have a full turnaround on all the pagers that we've got. It's just like your protective clothing. Some of the stuff wears out, some of it gets ripped in the fires and everything else. Anything in the fire service costs you dollars. You could go out and buy something for yourself and it might cost you half as much. But when you buy it for the fire department, the price just seems to go skyrocket. So some of the equipment is for hose, turnout gear, portable pump, pagers.
The K-12 did,
The K-12 saw portable pump.
Well,
maybe.
But basically, to answer your question, yeah, each year, it runs about the same every year. You consistently have to keep up with the times, you have to buy something new, you have to replace something.
The state comes out with regulations continually.
Yeah.
We have to keep up with it.
some of the bigger items on that would be pagers, radio, a Bensol hose, pump, and protective clothing. What we plan on purchasing.
Yeah, I guess when things are listed here, they're listed by who you're buying them from, and that doesn't entirely tell me what it is that you're getting.
Oh, yeah, okay. They're all basically new equipment, right. In other words,
Basically, it's a line item that Dick had set up with either Motorola, Mike Bruce, Phil Noyce. Sometimes we buy from these people, sometimes we don't. But it doesn't break it down into different categories.
I can figure out that Motorola is probably where you're buying your pages from, but
Right.
Mike Bruce and Phil Noyce, what?
Mike Bruce, Phil Noyce, we may buy protective clothing, hose, nozzles,
I see.
Yeah, people who sell
Any
fire
variables.
equipment dealers.
where we buy is where we get the best price from.
Phil Noyce, we bought most of our protective gear, turnout gear, coats, boots,
That
protective
comes
clothing.
from Mike
what have you.
Bruce.
What's that?
Mike Bruce, we got that from. The protective
Okay,
clothing.
all right, sorry about that. Anything else? Thank you.
That was Little John. Now comes Big John.
Little John, Big John. Recreation budget. On the blue sheet, first of all, I'd really like to thank publicly the committee, Recreation Committee that works with the selectmen. Larry Delvinary, Mike Mayhew, Gene Charon, Joseph Romeo, and really the chairperson, Karen Bossy, comes to our meetings and brings us updates as what's happening with the recreation and the problems she's incurring or solutions that the committee has given. So I think the town is well served by the committee. Going down through the budget, there aren't too much difference here. The employees, summer director, and I guess the only change there is commission members, like all officials, listers, and selectmen, et cetera. They do get paid, and we did increase them. They asked for it. We did increase them on that item. Athletic equipment, utilities, electricity, telephone, water, sewer, pretty much speak for themselves. The next item going down, miscellaneous, Dewey, let's see, capital expense, the 65091, budget 5,000, spent 400. Budgeting, proposing 6,700. I guess we're doing a lot of resurfacing at the Northwood pool as far as the tennis, basketball, and at Dewey field.
John, why did you budget 5,000 last year and only spend 400? Is there something you didn't do?
Well, that seems to be a good question. I don't think we probably did a heck of a lot here. Karen, can you relate to that a little bit?
We had planned on buying some recreational playground equipment for Dewey Field. We were forced to take down some equipment that had been there for a number of years and was made out of wood and had started rotting. We had planned on buying the recreational equipment, didn't get our catalog of suppliers and everything together in time to be able to do that. So this 6,700 does include that. It includes resurfacing the tennis courts at Northwood, which is mandated as part of the grant. We were inspected last year, this past fall, by the state, and because we had, Northwood was developed with matching funds, they have the right to come in and inspect us, and as part of that, or receiving that grant initially, we are mandated to follow up on any repairs that they mandate, and the tennis courts and basketball courts at Northwood do need to be resurfaced. We've held off to do it until the spring, figuring we didn't want to go through, an extra winter of wear and tear on them. But that playground equipment is now included in this year's.
All right, so really coming down to the bottom line, the amount to be raised by tax is 36,000, and it comes out to 41,000 to be raised. That's roughly, 12% or so, with a total budget of $64,405, proposed budget. Any questions, or? Thank you very much. Go ahead, Bill. I was going to get it.
It shows the income going down here. Is there a reason for that?
Well, Dick didn't give you the income, but I got it here somewhere.
It's under the bottom part on total recreation. Very bottom of the page.
Now, when you raise the taxes.
Oh, the 18,000, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Was that in tickets?
Well, partially in tickets, we're not increasing any of the fees for the pool, family passes, the fees for any baseball programs. And also, we had, in some areas, over budgeted on that previously. And so we were continually trying to make up with it for the over budget estimate. So we've cut it back to what we feel is possibly a more realistic figure. In addition, we have the machines up there. We're not sure if that's going to continue or not, that was some of the revenue there.
Yeah, okay. I was just wondering, because your actual was higher than what you were projecting. listening to, I would probably make it a little higher.
Okay, thank you.